All right, everybody. Hey, it's Greg Harrelson here, and it is that time of the week. It's Tuesday, and of course, I'm on the East Coast, so it's 11:30. For some of you, it's much earlier than 11:30, and I'm just going to double check on my phone to make sure that we are live. Looks like everything is going good. So let's go ahead and get started in the conversation today. It's not going to be a long call today because I'm just going to get right down to business and give you the information. So. Let me put the banner up here. So I'm going to talk about how to structure effective workflows. Talking about like what's the best workflow for like to get engagement. Um, you if you pay attention every once in a while, there's some pretty good guys and girls out there, men and women out there on the Facebook page that will share some extraordinary results that they're getting, like engagement rates. Like they send out, a workflow and they get a 60% response rate. And then you have people complaining that they get very little response rate on the emails that they're sending out. So I kind of want to talk with you about, the people that are getting extraordinarily good, it's just like crazy results on open rates and engagement. Let me just share with you what they're doing. And then, of course, versus people that are having challenges, and no one ever opens up my emails, and they don't even get delivered anymore. I'll kind of share with you what they're doing. So first, let's talk about structure of effective workflows. By the way, before I go into that, some of you may know that I do have a coaching program that's called Real Geeks Mastery. And when I'm coaching in Real Geeks Mastery, the whole point of Real Geeks Mastery is to share kind of everything that I do in terms of workflows. I give all my workflows to people. I give, we even load workflows into your Real Geeks account when you become a Real Geeks Mastery coaching client. But the entire coaching program is just based on me coaching on what it takes to monetize your Real Geeks website. In other words, you got a website, now what? What do you do to actually make this thing um, show up in Google rankings? How do you get it to rank for SEO? How do you build pages? How do you use the seller widget? How do you use advanced search filters? What workflows are working? What workflows are not working? You name it. We're basically building all that stuff for you. We are not doing SEO on your websites by any means, but what we're doing is we're building workflows, giving them to you. Or maybe I do a monthly newsletter to my buyers, or a weekly email to all of my buyers that gets crazy engagement. I'm giving you that type of information, and we're also showing you how to do it. So, if you're ever interested in learning more, then you can go to Real Geeks Mastery coaching. You can actually go to rgmastery.com right there. If you go to rgmastery.com, it'll teach you a little bit more about it, what we do. It's low price. It's no contracts. It's a live call every week. They're all recorded. So tremendous value there. What I'm going to talk about today, we'll do a much deeper dive and share the actual workflows with our master clients. There's just not enough time to do that in this setting. But how to structure effective workflows. Let's start there. The first thing that you have to understand, the rules have changed. Okay, the rules of workflows have totally changed. We used to be, and let me, I've been working databases for many years and building content. And I used to pride myself, it's been 10 years probably or more, where I would build these campaigns out. And it was like, it would be I had a campaign called a adopt a buyer program, or a campaign where, if I was the listing agent and I was to sell my listing, and some other buyer bought the property through another agent, I would not mess with that buyer. That buyer in that transaction is being represented, so I don't touch that buyer at that time. But a couple months after that buyer had settled in for the home, I would just call them and introduce myself and let them know, hey, I just want to let you know I still have maintained connection with the owner. If you ever need specific information about the house and you think an owner, it'd be helpful to contact the owner, let me know, and I might be able to get that information for you. And I did that and people would really be thankful. So then I'd put them in my database and I ran a 5-year workflow campaign on them. And the hopes was is that maybe their other agent would probably drop the ball because most people do, post closing, and I would create value and deliver value to them so much over the next couple of years that they would think of me if they ever wanted to sell that home. But the point of this was it was a 5-year campaign. There's no way I build a 5-year. I don't even build 5 sequence campaigns anymore. Sequence meaning like a campaign that has 5 emails or 5 texts. That's too long to me. So the rules have changed. It's no longer set it and forget it with these long campaigns because they're not going to get opened. They're not going to remain relevant. Therefore, they're going to be unopened, hit the spam folder. People are going to unsubscribe and it's going to mess up your deliverability rates. So step number 1 or rule number 1 about structuring workflows, effective workflows, is they must be short. Rule number 2 is they must be targeted. People know if it's a one-size-fits-all campaign. It's too broad. It doesn't mention anything specific to them, so it's got to be targeted. We need to use the Real Geeks technology to leverage, so we can leverage technology and increase our bandwidth of how many people we can communicate with through the technology, but the consumer shouldn't feel it. For those people that have these long campaigns, they set it and forget it, they're just throwing people in those campaigns. The people that are in those campaigns, the leads or the names that are in them, they know it's a one size fits all, so they check out, they stop paying attention. So they must be short in duration, but they also must be targeted. I'll talk about that a little bit more, how to target them through the Real Geeks platform. And the third thing is it must vary. They must vary. So you want to have short campaigns that are targeted, and then you want to switch it up quite a bit. I'll also show you how to do that. Okay. So let's just talk with short. What do I mean by short? What I mean by that is like, maybe there's 1 text, 1 email, 1 text. So that'd be 3 sequences, or it could be 1 email, 1 text, or it could just be 2 text. To me, that's the type of campaign that'll get you that 60, 50, 60, even 65% open rate, or I should say engagement rate, response rate. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for people to respond. So an example of a short text could be something like this. Hi, John. I sent you a new listing to look at the other day via email. Did you happen to get it? It just comes, hey, John, I sent you a new listing by email the other day. I'm just kind of curious. Did you happen to see it? I didn't ask them to set an appointment. I didn't ask them to buy. I didn't ask them, are you still looking? Did not do that. Because if I said, are you still looking? No. Just like when the person in the retail store says, can I help you find something? No, I'm just looking. So they're going to say no. So the challenge is people are very sensitive and they don't want to be texted. They don't want to be emailed that much. So you got to be careful on the words that you use. If you want it to be effective, you got to say, hey, John, I sent you a listing via email the other day. And most of you are doing that because you've got email alerts set up when new listings come on the market. So your buyers should be getting emails. So, hey, I sent you a new listing via email the other day. I wasn't pinpointed on yesterday or 10 minutes ago. I just wanted to check to make sure you got it. Did you get that? Now, let's just assume that they have not responded in the next 2 hours. Then you could set it up to send another text. Hey, I wanted to make sure my text was going through. Is this John? Now all of a sudden, yeah, this is John. I got your text. No, I didn't quite see it. Okay, no worries. Well, I know you're still looking at property. I'm going to text you the link real quick and then text them a link to a property. That would be manual. You would have to do that. But you could trigger a workflow with those 2 texts One is I sent you something via email. Did you happen to see it? If they don't respond, oh, then you could say, "Hey, I'm not sure if you're getting my communication about that property that I sent you. Is it just making sure I've got the right number? This is John, isn't it? Yes, this is John. Yeah, I saw you." Then they'll respond. Now you got them engaged. Now you can keep the conversation going. Once you get them to engage respond one time, you can keep that conversation going. You can ask anything you want. You can ask them then, are they still thinking about selling? And they're not going to say stop. See, we're getting too many stops. We're getting too many stops because we're approaching them wrong. And they're saying, stop. I can tell you're trying to sell me something. Stop. We got to put a little bit more time and effort in the words that we use. So that's what I mean by short. It was short. The text was short, and it was only 2 texts. I promise you, you're going to get above a 50% response rate by the time that 2 sequence workflow is complete. Now, what do I mean by targeted? What I mean by targeted is this. I mean that we can't do one size fits all. So you need to use what we call advanced search filters, or Real Geeks calls advanced search filters. These are filters that you can set up inside of Real Geeks to segment your database. And so if you'll segment your database, then you can set different workflows, short workflows that are relevant to that segmented database. So for an instance, like you may have property owners in your Real Geeks website that own property, that hopefully you've got databases of sellers in your Real Geeks website, and you've set them all up on market activity reports. Well, if you have, then you can have an advanced search filter that you set up to filter out your database to only show you people who have viewed a market activity report in the last 60 days, but you haven't logged any communication. So that means they're viewing the market activity report, but you're not communicating with them because you haven't logged any communication. So you can set that as a filter. Now, once you have that as a filter, then you can have a workflow that speaks to that audience, which, by the way, would be totally different than the workflow that I just gave you a moment ago. That would have been for a buyer. This one would be for a potential seller who's receiving and viewing market activity reports, but you have not logged communication, meaning you're not in touch with them. That's what I mean. That's a targeted one. Or you could target all the people that you have as a owner of a property or a seller, labeled as a seller, and hasn't favorited or hasn't viewed any market activity report. So that means you're sending them, but they're not viewing it. So with that person, you may say, "Hey, John, I just sent you an updated market report for your neighborhood. I just want to make sure that that's going through. Did you get it?" You send them as a text, they're going to respond at a higher rate. Now, here's what ends up happening. Then you'll start to see that they go to their email and they open it. Now they just opened up your email. So that one text gets you engaged with them. And now they start opening up your emails and start looking at the market activity reports. You see, that's targeted. One wasn't looking at them. The other was looking at them. Now you can set dozens of these advanced search filters. You can have advanced search filters of people that have not opened any emails in the last 90 days. You could target people that have favored a property in the last 30 days and you have no communication. You see, because I know that they favored something in the last 30 days, but I haven't talked to them, then that gives me some inclination of how I can build out my first text to them, or I can build out an email. Each one of those would be slightly different. And because it's slightly different, they feel that it's not a one size fits all. So they engage at a higher rate. That's how these workflows work. Now, when I said vary, it must vary. So they got to be short, they got to be targeted, and it must vary. What I mean by vary is this. If you have like 5 or 6 different advanced search filters, well, and one of the advanced search filters on your dashboard in Real Geeks was anyone who has favorited a property in the last 30 days and there's no communication logged, then it'll show up in that workflow. But if they respond to you and then now you note the conversation that you had with them, then it'll disappear out of that search filter because now there is communication logged. It'll disappear out of that search filter. And it may reappear at a later date in a different search filter. So you have multiple search filters that have a designated workflow assigned to that search filter. And then when people are in one search filter and they disappear because now you've logged communication, they then may find themselves in a different search filter because they're engaging. So if you have search filters that have different, different rules and criteria, then they may populate. And when they populate in a different one, then guess what? You kick off that workflow to them and it's relevant to where they are now. So we will have 10, 15 different search filters, advanced search filters in our system at all times. And the goal is to look at them every day and zero them out. So we can I can pop open Real Geeks this morning. I can see, oh, there's 10 people that are now in this one search filter. That means they just populated in there. Okay, I can go ahead and now send all 10 of those that workflow. Tomorrow, there'll be 0 in there. 5 days from now, there might be 8 people in there. Hit the workflow. That's how I keep up with this. And I have multiple workflows and people bounce through them and we're staying in communication and our engagement rate is going through the roof. You may be thinking, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. No, it's not a lot of work. A lot of work would be trying to figure out how to actually create a workflow that's going to last for 2 years. That would be way more work and less effective than what I just shared. Now, you may have to learn how to use advanced search filters, but if you're making an investment into your CRM and an IDX CRM like Real Geeks, such a powerful CRM, I recommend you learn it. And there's tutorials free inside of Real Geeks that will actually share with you exactly how to do this. Or, of course, if you want to get our workflows and you want to see what I'm doing in real time and be able to copy what I'm doing and what we're doing within our company, then feel free to consider, checking out Real Geeks Mastery coaching, and we'll coach you right through it. This is what we do. But at the same token, if you want to kind of do it yourself, save a little bit of money, do it yourself, then go to the tutorials. They're free. Real Geeks has provided plenty of information. It's just, I'm more of we have a program that just does it a little bit more for you. So just remember, structuring effective workflows requires them to be short, requires them to be targeted, and they must vary. And every bit of this you can build within Real Geeks. So go to those tutorials, check out realgeeksmastery.com, see if that's something for you. Put some questions in the comment section here on the Facebook page. I will have some time a little bit later on for the next couple of days. I go back and I will read them, look at them, and answer them. So if you have any questions, you can put them right in there, and I will surely answer them. Answer them for you. Until next week, you all have a wonderful rest of this week. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.